The reading crisis, U.S. decline, Denmark's bold fix. According to The Guardian and The New York Times, fewer people are reading for fun, and governments are taking notice. In the United States, a new study showed reading for pleasure has dropped by 40% over the last 2 decades. Back in 2004, a while back, there 28% of Americans read daily for fun. Doesn't seem like a lot, but a lot more than now. By 2023, that number had fallen to just 16%. Researchers warned the decline is steepest among disadvantaged groups. And co-author Jill Sunke called it, quote, deeply concerning, noting that reading has long been a low barrier, high impact way to engage creatively and improve quality of life. Meanwhile, in Denmark, officials are trying to turn the tide by making books cheaper. The government plans to remove its 25% tax on books, a move Culture Minister Jacob Engel Schmidt says will fight a growing reading crisis and give the gift of reading to younger generations. Book prices could fall by 20% under plan. Okay, so what's the real message here? We are in a reading crisis in the world. Yeah, I understand people are reading text all day long for 2 seconds and sending something back. But reading a real book, especially for pleasure, it's in crisis mode, and you might not care about the rest of the world, but if it's you, your own kids, your own family, realize you're making your world smaller. If you don't immerse the world of text creativity, you're building your brain in a different way, and it's not as good as somebody who reads and reads regularly. Okay, so let's dig a little bit deeper here. What's going on? Some of you are maybe saying, well, TJ, you're just an old fuddy-duddy, you're a boomer. I listen to audiobooks. I watch videos. I do online courses. It's just as good. Well, those things can be good. In some ways, they're better at certain times. If you have a long commute on a bus, if you have a long commute on a train, yeah, an audiobook can be great. And I'm certainly not against learning through video. That's how I make my living with my 300 online courses. But there's something unique about reading a book, especially if it is for pleasure. Now, let me not be a hypocrite here. I do have to confess, I don't read fiction. I mean, that's what I think of as reading for pleasure, although you could be reading a nonfiction book for pleasure as well. There's something about reading a fictional book that forces your brain to get creative. It's forcing your brain to put images up. It's forcing your brain to work, to think, to manipulate, to go into its own director mode. And when you don't read for pleasure, especially for fiction, that becomes stagnant. And the sad part is we live in a world now where creativity flourishes. If you're creative and you're willing to share your creativity, you can create podcasts, you can create YouTube shows, you can create all kinds of things and make a fortune from it, make a very nice living. Why do you not want your kids to do that? Why do you not want family members to do that? So I'm all in favor of anything that can get people to do more actual reading of books. I will confess, I was a little discouraged this summer. My own daughter's school required everyone in the school to read, as part of the summer homework, a novel. And 1 or 2 of the parents told me, oh yeah, my son decided to just listen to the audiobook. It was easier. Okay, it's easier, but it's just not the same thing. And I realize an audiobook can be unabridged. It's not like, watching a 2-hour movie versus War and Peace that could take you 30 hours to read. It's not truncating it, but it's a different process. It's a passive process. When you are reading, it's active. You're actively having to fire the synapses in your brain to detect what that letter is, what that word is, what that letter means, what that word means, what that sentence means, what that paragraph means, how it fits into the context of the entire chapter, and what the meaning is there, and how would you visualize it. You simply don't do all those things listening to an audio or watching a video. And it's not quite the same as reading a nonfiction book. Now, I read daily books, but I have switched from reading paper books to reading books on my Kindle, because I do find it's less light in my eyes. So when I'm reading late at night or early in the morning, and I say late at night, I might mean 8:30 at night before I go to bed at 9:30. It's less disruptive to the brain, and it's easier to fall asleep. But I use a Kindle, and I'm not giving any promotions here, and I'm not an affiliate for this today. I use a Kindle because, unlike reading on a phone, I'm not tempted to do a quick email check, a quick text, a quick looking up something in ChatGPT. It's right there. I don't even know how to access those other things on my Kindle. So that, to me, is the beauty of reading a Kindle. I do have one of my own goals is to read more pleasure books. I typically read 1 to 2 nonfiction books per week. And I wish I could say I read at least 1 to 2 novels per week. I don't. That's something I'm working on to improve myself. Let's talk about what's going on in Denmark here. So they have a 25% tax on books. Those of you here in the United States and other parts of the country or other parts of the world may think, oh, that seems like a high tax. Keep in mind, for a lot of Europe, it's this value-added tax is how they raise most of their money. So I don't know that it's especially high on books. There's just a lot of tax there instead of necessarily income tax, although they have income taxes as well. So I am skeptical that the reason people don't buy books and read books in Denmark is because of the tax. But if this nudges the needle a little bit, if this makes it more likely for a parent to buy a book for a child for a birthday present or a holiday present, I'm all favor, because certainly you're building the intellectual infrastructure of a country when people read more. I don't think I'm saying anything earth-shatteringly brilliant when I point out countries that don't have literacy don't do very well with their economies. The per capita income is really, really low in pre-literate or illiterate societies. As literacy rises, economics go up, standard of living goes up. But now we do have a point here in the United States and a lot of developed nations where, let's face it, literacy is high, but all the literacy is people looking at their cell phone and looking at a title. They can read the title of a TikTok video in 3 words or less. And it's just not the same thing in terms of building the intellectual infrastructure in your own brain. I could tell you one of the most powerful things that I ever did in my own life for personal development, and I would recommend it to you, is it's really 2 things. I gave myself this is about 10 years ago, I gave myself a very, very strict time limit of no more than 1 hour per day of video entertainment and a minimum of 1 hour per day reading a book. I don't mean reading, because you can read the news, you can doom scroll 8 hours a day and not really learn anything and not feel better intellectually, emotionally, creatively. But when you're reading a book that someone didn't throw together in the last 4 hours about what happened 5 hours ago, it's a different experience. And that supercharged my own career, frankly. By reading so much every day, it gave me the intellectual infrastructure to create hundreds of online courses, which in turn created wealth for me and my family and has allowed us to do a lot of good things. I want the same thing for you. Now, you may be someone who went to the top of your class at Oxford or IIT or some major university in the world, but now you're in the work world and you're just so busy working, you say, oh, I don't have time to read. Don't kid yourself. I want you to go to your phone and go into your settings and look at your screen time. And if you're like most people, you're going to see 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe 4 hours a day that you spend scrolling on various news websites. You are reading, but a lot of time it's the same old stuff. It's confirmation bias. You read news about a politician you already don't like, and here's someone telling you how bad they are. What's the worst that could happen if you didn't spend time reading that story, but you instead read about a new hobby, or you read a new novel, or you read some aspect of personal development, or something you have a passion for? Maybe you read more about the leading thinkers in your industry. I'm all in favor of new media and new ways of learning. Believe me, here I am talking to you. I'm not writing you a new book today. I'm talking to you through new media, through audio podcasting, through video podcasting. I'm all in favor of that. But let's realize that every medium has a particular role. Video is great for displaying emotion, visual storytelling, action. Audio is great for creating intimacy, and it's so easy to consume because you can be driving, writing, walking, anything else. But reading an actual book, whether it's paper or something in a digital format, is a different format of learning. It's different, and it has aspects that are better too. So I'm urging you, please give it some thought. The Danish officials who are doing this experiment with the tax cut say reading is losing to streaming services. Well, I see that in my own household. When I try to get my own daughter to read more, quite often is it, oh, there's Wednesday streaming on Netflix. That's more fun. Okay, there has to be time for both. And I constantly meet parents about, I want my kid to go to an Ivy League school. I want my kid to go to an Ivy League school, a prestigious school, an elite school. And when I actually look at kids who end up doing that, quite often the biggest predictor is, do they do pleasure reading, especially when they're young? Kids who have the attitude of, I'm going to spend every spare time playing a video game or just scrolling YouTube or TikTok, may have high IQs, may be smart, may be good with their homework, but in the long run, they don't quite compete with those kids who also do their homework, are also smart, and actively read for pleasure. So if you are a parent and you are ambitious for your child, I urge you, A, encourage them to read. Buy them books, buy them real books. Sometimes buy them digital books too, regardless of the tax structure. But B, lead by example. There's the old New Yorker cartoon that has two parents sitting on a park bench, each scrolling at their phones and saying, yeah, it's terrible. My daughter spends all of her time scrolling on the phone. And they're both scrolling on their phones, talking to each other. Lead by example. Children are much more likely to learn by what you do rather than what you say. So read. Nothing wrong with having a family reading hour. We try to do that from time to time in my household as well. It will ultimately give you a richer life. It might not necessarily make you richer in the pocketbook or the wallet, but it will give you a richer life. And I think that really is its own reward. So please give that some thought and see what you can do to do more reading in your own house.